growing up in a British family. My mom's born in Northern Ireland. My dad comes from English and Scottish descent. It was right from the get-go. You know, ever since I can remember, that the first thing I was doing was kicking a ball around. And I started playing at the age of 4, my first year of competitive soccer. And I actually started here in Montreal. So it's kind of come full circle now that I'm playing here. But I started out here in the West Isle playing for Lakeshore SC. My dad was the coach, and kind of where the journey started, and it's just kind of blossomed from there. My dad always worked in the soccer business, so we had actually a bow net, and we would put it in the backyard, which is pretty much like, it's not a full-size net, but it's a pretty big size. We had it out there, and I just can always remember being out there in the backyard all summer long. We'd get home from school, myself and my younger brother, run out back and just play for 2 hours, 3 hours, and then go straight to training after. And so deep down, I always wanted to play pro, but you know, I never really had the opportunity. You know, at that point, Toronto FC was still kind of just coming into its own. They hadn't really started the academy yet. You know, I really wanted to make a mark in the provincial program, hopefully get into a youth national team. But I was a late bloomer. I was a really small kid, all the way up till high school. So I never really had the opportunity. But deep down, I always kind of felt like, look, no matter what kind of hardships you go through and no matter what opportunities, you know, I'm not being privy to at this moment, it never really wavered my confidence that deep down I always felt like, yeah, I'll make it work. Growing up, I was a center defensive midfielder. So that was something that I kind of loved growing up. I was really physical. I kind of brought my hockey side of it. I played competitively as well with Aurora into my teenage years. And I kind of always brought that into the soccer aspect, is that I wanted anyone who was going up against me to not be happy to be going up against me, not just because I was good on the ball, but also because they knew they were in for a bit of a war. But then as I transitioned into more of a defender, a true defender in terms of being a right back, right side center back. So yeah, I moved to York Region when I was about 6 or 7 years old. So I came from Montreal. So I actually originally went into Lester B. Pearson, and my younger brother, because he hadn't started French school in Montreal yet, went to Devins Drive. So I decided I'd go to Devins Drive, which is a small elementary school in Aurora. Tiny population. I'll tell you what, I think in my class we had 30 or 40 students. So super personal, really intimate like that. We had a great time there. Graduated. Spent the next 5 years there. Before going to Aurora High. And Aurora High was a great spot for me. I think York Region does a great job at just providing so many different things within the school. You know, there's the athletic aspect, but there's such an emphasis on the school and, giving kids opportunities to go to university and further their education, which just shows, the mentality of the teachers, the students that make up this region. It's a really, a really smart group and a really driven group, I think is probably the better word for it. It's a lot of motivated people that want to see people learn and grow. So yeah, that's probably my fondest memories of, York Region. Qualifying for a World Cup, when I joined the national team, it was the very beginning of 2021, and there was no expectations on us. We weren't even in the octagon, which is the final stage of qualifying. We hadn't made it there in 2 decades to the final stage. So we had to go down, we had to play Haiti, Suriname, all these different countries just to even make it into that stage. So for a lot of people from the outside media, just making it to the octagonal, the final stage, would have been deemed as a success. But I remember walking into that locker room and looking around and going, there's no pressure on this group, but oh my gosh, how are the expectations so low? Like, I understand that Canada Soccer, we hadn't done a ton to really warrant those expectations, but just looking around the rest, I haven't been in with other national teams, obviously, but looking around here, there's no reason why this team shouldn't be one of the top teams in CONCACAF, if not the top. And I think we showed that throughout that entire qualification, is that, we're going to be a team that's here to stay, and we're the real deal. I think we got some unbelievable results, and to end up finishing that grueling campaign of 14 games, home and away against each team, to finish top of the table. You could really sense that we were pushing the boundaries. We were creating new history as a footballing country. Canada's going to a World Cup. Like, how unbelievable is that? The hairs in the back of my neck just stand up. It's something to even think that I played a part in that is unbelievable. I can just see the pride it's put into people and just everywhere, even York Region. Like, it's something that I think everyone can get behind. It's soccer after all. It's the world sport. And with Canada being such a diverse country, especially York Region, I mean, the diversity we have there it's unbelievable. It's something that everyone can get behind, especially coming out of a pandemic where everyone's felt so disconnected and they're just desperately looking for something to cling on to and, really be happy about and have a reason to connect with other people again. I think the biggest thing for me that I'd like to pass on, and it doesn't just apply to sports, it applies in the classroom as well. It applies in all aspects of life, is that, look, you're going to be overlooked. There's going to be lots of people that don't think you're good enough, but my story is exactly that. If you truly love what you're doing and you're truly curious and you want to get better, it's something that you really enjoy doing and you continually put in the work, someone will notice that. And all it takes is one person to notice, to give you that opportunity. You don't necessarily have to take a straightforward route. Everyone's route's going to be different. But as long as you're learning along that route too, and you're taking in all these experiences and not looking at it as hardships necessarily, but looking at it as opportunities to learn and meet new people and do different things, I think you're going to be better off as a human being from it. So that would be my 2 cents to throw at the next generation coming through.